Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today we want to talk about physical storage. As you can see in the slide, we've talked about the physical layer and actual logical layer for the storage architecture in the previous section. But right now I'm just trying to explain the physical part. And the physical part or physical storage layer is consist of actually three parts. And first of all, it's disks, and the second one is RAID group, and then it is aggregates. And as you can see in the picture at the very bottom, we have disk drives like SATA disks, and then we have RAID groups that we have different RAID types, right? Like RAID DP, and then we're reaching to the aggregate level at this part. So if I want to talk about disks, you can see that the disks could be a member of a RAID group or they could be spare. And they're usually owned by one controller. I mean, they should be owned by one controller. And about a RAID group, RAID group is a group of disks which we have the RAID configuration on them. The RAIDs that we are supporting on Netapp right now, as we are talking in 2017, it's RAID 4, RAID DP, it's a dual parity, and RAID Tech, which is a triple parity. And data is actually striped across multiple or a RAID group that we have inside the aggregates. And one or more RAID groups, actually they create an aggregate, and data is written across all the RAID groups and always on the free space. And this is important that we have to know that the aggregate is owned by one controller. When a disk actually enters the system in the Netapp ecosystem, the disk is unowned or unassigned, and ownership is automatically or manually assigned to one controller. And after the ownership is assigned, a disk is marked as a spare. It is a spare until the disk is used to create an aggregate, which we are creating RAID groups and then aggregates, or it is or added to an existing aggregate. So when you're entering a disk into the system, it's a spare. You can add it to existing aggregates, or you can create aggregates from those disks. And it's a good idea that for supporting performance and data sharing needs, it's a good idea to group the physical data storage resources into one or more aggregates. For example, if you have SATA disks, you can create aggregates just for out of the SATA disk. If you have SAS disk, I mean a combination of SATA disk and SAS disk, it's a good idea to have a SATA aggregate, and you have a SAS, for example, aggregates, SSD also. If you can separate them, so you can better balance your workload, and if you put a volume inside, for example, aggregate 1, this is SATA disks, and if you put it on aggregate 2, it's a SAS disk. So the SAS, for example, the performance is better than SATA, and it's all depending on the desired level of the performance and utilization that you need. I want to highlight this part again, that although only one controller can own aggregates, aggregates can be relocated to the HA partner for service or performance reasons. So we cannot have an aggregate belong to two different nodes at the same time. So just the aggregates, it's one controller own the aggregates at the time. But you can just move an aggregate between two different HA pairs for different reasons. For example, you have a window maintenance, and you want to just upgrade one of the nodes. You can just move the aggregates out of one node to another HA pair, and you can just fix a problem or do the upgrade, and then bring back the aggregate to the home node. So just keep in mind that always aggregates owned by one controller at a time. hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm looking to see you in the next one.